Flo, as you, oh, here we go. So Flo, as usual, has sent out draft minutes and an agenda. So let me just open this up here. So so far we have Jim. If he shows up a little tardy, we'll just add it later. So item 3, is there any conflicts of interest to declare, anyone?
No, that's a no for me, Eric.
Okay, perfect. We'll move on then to approve the agenda, but before, Flo has 2 things to add.
Yes, thank you, Eric. I'd like to add under other business, item 10, an update from Greg from FedNor regarding FedNor programming that may fit our community revitalization plan. And then also an update from Kathleen Baker regarding her new role with the Ministry of Northern Development and Mines. Ministry of Northern Development, Mines and Forestry.
A long one now.
Yeah.
Therefore, can I get a motion to approve the agenda as amended by Florence? Simone, moved by Simone, seconded by Cody.
Yeah, that's an approval for me.
Perfect. All in favor? Moving on, we've got item 3, review and approve the meeting minutes. Florence circulated with the meeting minutes from June 15, 2021. I'm assuming everyone had a chance to review. I know I was absent. If there's no questions, comments, concerns, can I get a motion?
Sorry, Eric, just one.
Yes, go ahead.
Just for accuracy, we adjourned at 28, not 8:28.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't know if that was a big deal or not, but I even went back to YouTube to check.
Sorry, Jane,
Okay.
can you say that again?
Yeah, the adjournment time for the last meeting was 7:28 p.m., not 8:28.
Oh, great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
No, that's great. Anything else? So I believe we received a clarification from a question that arose that absentee members can now vote, if I'm not mistaken, right, Jolene, on they can vote to approve the minutes from the last meeting. So can I get a motion to approve?
Yeah, I approve, Eric.
Okay, well, I had Karen first and then Simone. So if that's fine. Karen, motion, seconded by Simone. All in favor?
Yeah.
Moving on then to item 6, any business arising? That's a negative. Fantastic. Moving on to item 7, the community improvement plan by Florence. So I'm going to hand it over to Florence.
Thanks, Eric. You may have noticed by now that we have our community improvement plan up for public consultation, and that is available to complete the survey through My Manitouage, but we also have print versions at the library. So we've been pushing that information out through a number of sources, both through the township's Facebook page, through emails direct to the registered users of My Manitouage, and as well as it'll be going out in the next Did You Know with your new tax bill, and also it was in the July forecaster. So we're hoping that we get some significant feedback. Maybe significant is a strong word, some feedback regarding the community improvement plan, so that council is confident moving forward that this is a good economic development tool to encourage community revitalization from the private sector, as well as new business and residential development opportunities. So once we receive the feedback at the end of the month, the survey closes at noon on July 30th, then I'll roll up the report and we can present the community improvement plan to council at the August 11th council meeting. And then just a reminder, following that, there's a 20-day appeal period. And if no one appeals the community improvement plan, then council can go ahead and implement it into the operations of the township. And that will look like staff will develop a program that businesses and residents can make application to undertake some of the work that is offered in the community improvement plan. Council will also have to set a budget for that. So it's likely that we didn't put any money in this year's budget, but it'll be an initiative that we launch in 2022 once the program's developed and the funds are approved by council.
Just a question, Flo, because when I was reading the minutes, you guys had a plan to present a lot of things to council, I believe, in June and early July. Was any meetings postponed, or were you able to get all that done, or was the agenda just too heavy?
No, all of that was done. All the work that the committee has undertaken has been presented to council, with the exception of the community improvement plan because it's still undergoing public consultation. But those plans came up with council at their strategic planning session, which is we'll talk about in item number 9. And then also in the budget process, which we'll talk about in item number 10.
Hey, apologize. I'll just wait for those items to come up.
Okay.
Any other questions, Lawrence, for item 7? So I'll take that as a no. Then we'll just continue on with item 8, the community rebranding project.
Thanks again, Eric. So I'm going to jump ahead by saying that council approved the budget at the last council meeting on July the 14th. And within that were funds set aside for the banner project. So now that those funds have been approved, I am working with Fire Dog Communications on the design for the banners. And I'll bring that back to the next Community Revitalization Committee meeting for review and approval of those designs. And then Karen, I'll also be updating the EDC with regard to costing and design as well, to see if there's interest in cost sharing some of the banners.
Perfect, thank you.
And with regard to copyright, we're almost complete in that process. And so I hope to have that update for the committee at the next meeting as well.
Great. Any questions or comments for Florence? Well, then we'll just move right into item 9 again for the strategic planning training with council.
Thanks, Eric. So the document that I shared with the committee is a draft strategic plan, which will guide the municipality, the corporation, for the next 5 years with regard to 2 areas. One is a corporate strategy, so how the township wants to be viewed by its employees and by its residents. And a lot of this work was taken from previous strategic plans. And when council did their training session, we had the conversation around the vision and the mission that had been developed 15 years ago, and whether it was still relevant today. And council was quite confident that that nothing needed to be updated in terms of the vision and mission. We did do a little bit of discussion around the corporate values and bringing those up to date with the current economic drivers in the community. And then we also looked at the community strategic plan, which has just come to the end of its useful life. And that was really driven by the community rather than the corporation. And there were 5 themes that had been identified within the community strategic plan related to community development, economic development, infrastructure upgrades, cleaning up the township, and communication. And so council also felt very confident that those 5 themes were still very relevant as well. So this document that you've got in front of you is a hybrid of both the corporate strategic plan and the community strategic plan. And some of the projects that have been fed into this 5-year vision for the township have come directly from the work that this committee has done over the past year and a half with regard to both community revitalization and trail development. So you'll see some of those projects starting to make their way into the foreground in terms of getting them off the ground. There's still some planning that needs to be done, funding that we have to pursue to make these projects come alive. But in the last few pages in the template, you'll see that at the end of the 5-year period, we do want to see infrastructure improvements and upgrades, and moving towards, you know, the recommendations within the community revitalization plan and the trails master plan, as well as the recreation parks and facilities master plan as well, which was more of a exercise in fixing what we have. And the other 2 plans were, so the trails master plan was a tourism study, and the community revitalization was revitalizing, of course, the community itself. Jim Moffat is just going to join us now. So I hope you've had a chance to kind of review where the township is proposing to go over the next 5 years. The plan will be that once council approves the strategic plan, which will also be at the August 11th council meeting, that there will be an annual review, and we can update projects in terms of timelines, and then also whether they're still relevant or whether there's new information coming forward that requires our attention. And then to start to shift and move some of these projects around based on community input and council determination. So it's a living document. It's not one that's going to sit on the shelf. And we are looking for feedback from not only this committee, but from all residents about whether they support the ideas and the projects that are proposed within the plan itself. And just wondering if there's any questions from the members with regard to the development of this plan.
I was just gonna say, like, when I went through it, I mean, I appreciate the specificness of a lot of the recommendations, because those are really good for government funding. Specificity, I guess I always get like messed up on that word. And I definitely feel like there's a number of projects that would be eligible for NOHSC funding. Like that seems obviously like for the roof, definitely for like any of the recreational facilities, like the ski hill, for example, as well. I know we already talked about the boat launch, the wayfinding signage, anything around the trails, like the trail upgrades, like those all fit within NOHSC programming. And I mean, the studies, like NOHSC has kind of moved away from the studies, as I mentioned, the feasibility studies, but any of the capital work. And I mean, depending on what the council and everyone's timelines are for these, I mean, just kind of keeping in mind that, you know, maybe the budgets have already been passed for this year, or when you're sort of looking to do the applications. But something we have been, so like, you know, that had been discussed is, you know, the next year is the provincial election, so there's always like a quiet period. So it's just a question of like when it's better maybe to submit earlier to NOHSC for for funding programs, I guess, because I think there'll be a quiet period potentially.
That's great feedback, Kathleen. Thank you.
But it looks great.
Any other questions for Florence? Jim, we're on item 9 of the agenda.
Thank you, Eric, and sorry to everybody for being late, but I'm here.
Only comment I have to say, actually, Florence, is shout out to the student crew yesterday who did a fantastic job at sweeping the downtown. Like, you know, they worked really hard all day, and you know, it really shows. So it's nice to see like the the students that are out there, but also that, like, you know, we're actually, you know, being mindful of our surroundings, especially of our downtown core.
Thanks, Eric. That's good feedback.
Florence, I also really liked this goal that was on page 17. It was around like keeping services, you know, attractive to families. Like it says, work with post-secondary education institutions to offer training locally to support the mining, forestry, and health sectors. So that's actually a pretty interesting idea. And I'm just wondering like how the ministry can maybe help like support some of those, or what your thoughts were in terms of how that could go about potentially.
I know a few years ago, the high school started to introduce skill majors, certainly in areas around forestry and mining. But certainly, you know, keeping in mind that those industries are very they're thriving in Manitowoc, and as well as the need for healthcare professionals within the communities, and working maybe closer with the high schools to ensure that the students who are going through our high school system here have those opportunities available to them in order to keep our youth in the community and filling those important roles.
No, that makes a lot of sense. Just on a tangent here, like even with the post-secondary, like the colleges and universities now, like with the province, they have these strategic mandate agreements, right? And like last year, there was a change made where the funding, provincial funding, is contingent upon, or it's like ranked against performance measures that the post-secondary institutions are able to, you know, meet. And one of those criteria is experiential learning. And so I've always thought like, because when I went to university, we had like a specific final year class where we worked with the municipality on a full semester for a specific project. And it was a win-win, right? Because it provided the students like tangible working opportunities, and it provided free labor from the municipality or for the organization to work for a project. And so I always thought that was like an interesting approach. And I always thought it'd be interesting if like the colleges or the universities in Northern Ontario could develop, you know, initiatives like that help the local municipalities somehow, because they're being ranked on that now. So
would that be the same as a co-op or different than a co-op?
It's slightly different from a co-op, but in principle, it's the same type of idea, right? Is that you're providing these like real life working experience for the students that fulfill their educational requirements. But it was sort of a hybrid model that this one professor really thought was important. But as well, like they now a number of departments every year offer these courses for the students to work directly with, you know, whether it's engineering, whether it's municipalities or not-for-profits. They have this whole program that's like established for students to work with the local governments with that. I don't know how it would ever be established, but I always thought it was like an interesting, like win-win sort of.
Okay, certainly that's something I can talk to the Northern Policy Institute about, as well as yourself, Kathleen.
Yeah.
Great.
Any more comments, questions for Florence on item 9?
I just not really a question or whatever, but I did go to the 2016 Strat Plan Summit there, and like this time around, it was nice to see what was put on the table from the previous one, and just how both the plans have kind of merged there, and the two together. I don't know, just if the guideline is followed, they kind of come full circle with important things that are identified in Manitouwadge. So it was nice to see the previous plan merged with the 2016 strat plan.
Thanks, Cody. Yeah, you know what? Both documents were very well done, and in many ways, and if used properly, can guide the corporation forward over the next number of years. But it was just really important to have a strong starting point, and those documents provided that.
Well, it's nice too that, like you say, it's a living doc now, right? So it's going to be front and center as time goes on. So instead of maybe being shelved throughout different priorities that are existing in our community at the time, it's kind of it'll be a good guideline. It's simple to follow too.
Great, thanks, Cody.
Anyone else? Okay, well then moving on. Thank you, Florence, for that. Number 10, we have other business. Jim, for your information, we've added 2 items to the agenda under other business. We've added just basically Kathleen will just her new role. We'll share a little bit of her new role, and as well as Greg. So again, so we'll start, I guess, with the municipal budget, and we'll just go in order, Florence.
Sure, thanks, Eric. So council at their July 14th council meeting did pass the 2021 municipal operating budget. We started the evening off with a special council meeting that was open to the public, where council called residents who had posed questions through our survey on My Manitouwadge. And so we recorded that meeting without any technical problems. And then we put it on pause. And then when we went to record the actual council meeting, it did not record. So if you were looking for the videotape on the council meeting, it's not there, except for the very last couple of minutes coming out of closed session. So that was quite unfortunate. But just to let you know that the council did pass the budget. And so there is a tax savings to the residents of Manitouwadge. And so for a home with an average cost of $50,000, that would be a tax savings of about $400. And for a business with a value assessment of $100,000, that would equate to about a $900 savings over last year. So we're quite confident in the numbers that we've put together, and really look forward to working on the $2 million in capital projects that we are proposing to do for the remainder of the year, and hope to see some great results coming out of that. You want me to just keep going there, Eric? Down the list? Okay. So one of the items that we've been discussing with council is the replacement of the director of recreation and the economic development officer. And so we are proposing to combine those positions into one. And so the title of the position would be the Director of Community and Economic Development, and a large function of what they would work on will come out of the strategic plan. So that's something that we've been kind of just holding on to until council approves the strategic plan so that we know what the duties will be for that person. So it'll be definitely focusing on job creation, tourism, helping with grant writing from the economic development side, and then from the community development side, working on trails and our many recreation facilities, and really pulling all of that together in terms of the community development piece. We have, as you know, the ski hill and the golf course, which are and the clubhouse, which are our facilities where we generate revenue. And so the individual will have to have a strong business background as well in order to run those facilities, and reduce the reliance on the taxpayer to keep those facilities up and running. So there really needs to be some strong business skills in this position that we'll be putting forward. And I do hope to have that position posted in the next couple of weeks. Any questions about that? Okay, so I'd like to turn it over to Greg Desimoni from FedNor, who he provided some information last week about a new program through FedNor, which I think is a really great fit for the work that this community or this committee is doing. And I'd like to ask Greg to present the program and how the township could take advantage of this funding.
Hi, yeah, absolutely. It's actually been a flurry of activity over here at FedNor. We've announced 4 new programs over the past month or so here. So lots of new stuff coming out. The 2 that really, I think, strike the most interest for stakeholders in the region are the Canada Community Revitalization Fund, as well as the Tourism Relief Fund. So I'm just going to give you a brief, there's a lot of information on these programs. I'll try to keep it as brief and overview as possible, but if you have any questions, of course, feel free to ask away. The first being, it was the first program that we announced in this cycle, which was the Canada Community Revitalization Fund, which was designed to aim to help communities across Canada build and improve community infrastructure projects in order to rebound from the effect of the COVID-19 pandemic. There's 2 main project activities that are eligible in this program, them being adapting and reimagining or re-envisioning community spaces and maintaining accessibility standards so they may be safely used. And examples of such projects are farmers markets, community centers, community museums, cultural centers, parks, community gardens, greenhouses, recreational trails and facilities, bike paths, outdoor sports facilities, libraries, waterfront spaces, and tourism facilities. And the other activity is build, which is the construction of or community infrastructure, expansion, improvement, or creation of community spaces. Examples of this are community assets for public benefit that have a local community impact, multi-purpose centers, working space, and other similar spaces. There are 4 main priorities identified in this program under those 2 basically infrastructure streams. First being downtown core and Main Street development. The second being outdoor space, which includes all open air facilities or spaces or anything without windows or doors, in addition to parks and sports facilities, recreational trails, and open air markets. Green projects that support a clean growth economy and decreasing greenhouse gas emissions, and as well as accessibilities. So projects that intend to improve accessibility that will meet or exceed the highest published accessibility standard. This program really puts an emphasis on shovel-ready projects. It was a very quick turnaround. No set deadline to this program. It's basically eligibility was deemed as of anything from beginning on April 19th of this year to the end of the project cycle, which is March 30th, 2023. There is a priority date that they put on of July 23rd of this year that they're going to start assessing applications. So they're encouraging any applications to be in before that date. That being said, though, the fund will be open on a continual basis until all the funds are subscribed. The other is the Tourism Relief Fund, And this is really, there's some overlap, but it's tailored mostly towards specifically tourism relief in the wake of COVID-19. So this program is really designed to empower tourism businesses to create new or enhance existing tourism experiences and products that attract more local and domestic visitors, and to overall help the sector reposition itself to welcome international visitors by providing the greatest Canadian tourism experiences as possible. There are two basically priority streams under this as well. The first being product development. So for example, projects that enhance tourism experiences, help tourism business adapt to the new normal, to modernize their offerings and encourage the adoption of more environmentally sustainable and inclusive practices. And destination development, which by example is projects that position communities to take advantage of post-pandemic opportunities through strategic planning for medium to long-term investments, as well as supporting destination development prospects in line with what is set out in the federal tourism growth strategy. So it's a very broad overview of the two. There's no set priority line on the tourism relief fund. It's as well. They said it would be a beginning eligibility date of April 19th of this year, and it's expected to run until the end of March 2023 as well.
Greg,
Yeah.
Does that include community events that are being run in the community
Not.
to bring tourists in?
It's so. I'm not sure if it relates to. I don't think it believes in regards to one-time events like that. It's more of a. Are you referring? You're obviously referring to the tourism fund, or is there?
Yeah, we're talking about, say, our ATV Jamboree that's yearly being run. It hasn't been run for 2 years because of COVID.
Yeah. This is a very new program, and we're still getting all the stuff. I don't believe it's tailored towards those specific one-off events. It's more of basically building the capacity to carry on tourism strategies moving forward.
Okay, thank you.
Karen, you can apply to NHSC for that though, under their.
Can we?
Yeah, for 30% of costs up to 15,000. So.
Oh, perfect. Thank you.
Yeah.
Good.
Greg, I just had a question about the two programs. So they're both programs have a national investment of 500 million over 2 years.
Yeah.
But are you able to shed light on what the FedNor bucket of that is?
I am not actually.
Okay.
That's all we publish is the overall. So these are not specifically FedNor programs. These are nationwide programs. They've just been given to the specific RDAs in the regions to deliver on that overall project or overall program.
Thanks, Greg. Did you also recently release a program for airports?
Yeah, it's the Aerospace Regional Recovery Initiative. I think this was one of the last one that was announced. I'm not too familiar. I haven't worked too much within that program at this point. I just know it's a $250 million budget over the 3 years. That one runs actually until March of 2024. But it's designed to help airports and airlines and the aerospace industry recover from the effects of COVID.
Okay, great. Thanks. So that's really great information, Greg, and we'll definitely be looking into comparing what some of the projects are that council has determined for the priorities for the township over the next 5 years, and putting a list of projects, eligible projects, in front of council so that they can give staff some direction on which grant applications to apply to bring some of these projects to life, because our community revitalization plan is really a shovel-ready document now in terms of being able to move forward and complete some of these works that have been identified.
Yeah, absolutely. Reach out anytime. I'd be happy to get more specific of any of the programs if you have any questions, for sure.
Great. Thank you very much.
So that leaves you, Kathleen.
Sounds good. Yeah, so I'm happy to provide a little bit of an overview of what my new role is. A few weeks ago now, I guess just coming up on 3 weeks, I transitioned into a new role with our ministry. So I now work with the Deputy Minister's Office of the new Ministry of Northern Development, Mines, Natural Resources, and Forestry. Went through a bit of a change as well, because when the ministries merged, the deputy minister that was responsible for the then natural resources and forestry, so she's now assumed the oversight for northern development and mines as well. So that's been in the last just in the last week or two. So now we're transitioning to working more closely with the NRF side of the new ministry as well. But technically, so my position, I am the policy advisor for the Northern Development Division. I guess it's called the Senior Policy Advisor. But what that means is that within the Northern Development Division, of which I worked with previously with our Regional Economic Development Branch, there are several different divisions which all report up to the Assistant Deputy Minister, who then reports up to the Deputy Minister and then the Minister's Office. So my role is to work with the ADM in that division on information that's coming up to the Deputy's Office, for documents or different types of, awareness, approvals. And then I liaise with the minister's office and the deputies to sort of share information back. So it's been very good. It definitely has been a great couple of weeks getting settled and learning about the environment and about all different types of processes and things that are being worked on. So, but I definitely wanted to make sure I maintain this connection with the working group, because I was very appreciative to be involved with this at the beginning. So I just thought I would stay on and try to provide information if everyone was supportive of that. So that's really what it is.
So Kathleen called me at the beginning of July to tell me about her promotion, and she asked if she could stay on with the Community Revitalization Advisory Committee. And I said, absolutely, of course, we would love to have you. And what a great opportunity for this committee to have a representative on staff who is in the Assistant Deputy Minister's office. And it just makes us a little bit closer to the top and to where funding decisions get made. And we really appreciate all the advice and the support that you've given us along the way over the past couple of years, and your connection still to NOHFC and again to the higher level of government. We're very proud of you and happy for you, and so pleased that you still want to be involved in our committee.
No, of course, I'm very happy to.
Thank you, Kathleen. Thank you, Greg. And thank you, Florence, for all these updates. Our next meeting is scheduled for September 14th, which means we have a little break in August. So actually, before adjourning, unless someone else has something to add, I'd just like to point, just to say something to the staff. Florence, yourself, under your leadership, and obviously everyone who's been on the committee, you guys are not thanked enough. There's a lot of stuff that goes on in the background that we don't know about, and you guys do all the work for us. Basically, you get all this information, you come to the table with that. So I'd really like to thank you for all the efforts and the continued work that you guys provide for the community of Manitowoc.
Thank you, Eric.
And obviously, also who's a direct representative of council, and obviously our community partners. So, just the fact that Kathleen wants to stay with us, that and everyone, we're getting more members. It just speaks volumes.
Yeah, it's a great committee and we're getting lots done, even if it feels like it's taken a really long time. Just getting those plans complete is a huge accomplishment. And from here on, things are going to go very quickly as a result.
Simone, did you want to add anything as co-chair? And kind of put you on the spot there.
Okay, no, I'm kind of on the same page as you, Eric. I'm just looking at things and how quickly things are developing in town, and little intricate things like the new online payment stuff and viewing your bills online, and just little tiny things that mean so much to us as a community, and just the simplicity of being able to interact with the township now, and just different projects around town. And I don't know, it just seems to be a different vibe lately, and you see a pride of ownership, which is wonderful to see. Yeah, good job, Flo. Really good job.
Thanks, Simone. Well, I have a great team to
You're
work
welcome. Good.
with. Chris.
He shows up for the praise. Good job. So can I get a motion to adjourn, guys? Jim, seconded by Cody. All in favor? At the time of 7:43. Have a great evening, everyone. Thanks for being here again.
Thank you.
Thank you.